Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker. I got a question from one of my subscribers. They actually sent me a video and wanted me to give an opinion on what it is that I saw. This definitely struck me because this happened in Clayton County. And as many of you can see and you know, I actually did 2 gut rehabs in that particular county. So I was definitely interested in what was going on. So let me give you a little bit of backstory of what's happened here. I have to admit I don't have all of the or as much information out as I would like to give a more thorough evaluation, but I am basically gonna move forward with the information that I do have. Okay, so here it is. There's a woman named Lolita Hale. She went on vacation, came back to her home, and found that there was a squatter there. The police came, but guess what? Instead of arresting the squatter, they arrested her and put her in jail. That's right. So let's see what we can find here. Now, it wasn't clear to me whether or not this home was a single family home or if it was a multi-family home. I was trying to get that information, but they did not release the address. However, I did look up and down the street where the property was located at, and it does appear as though these were single family homes of a rather decent size, a larger size, if you will. Now, the way in which the person got in, because Miss Hale said that she locked the doors and everything seemed to be sealed, she says that the woman, Sakimia Johnson, who she says is a squatter, broke the lock and came in. All right. Now, the judge, though, a judge who had previously ruled that there was an evicted tenant, their partner, Miss Sakimia Johnson. I'm sorry, I'm butchering up the name because I don't know how to pronounce it. She actually, they say, is not a squatter at all. So pause. You might be saying to yourself, well, if she is related to an evicted tenant's partner, why is it that Mrs. Hale can't remove her from the property? Okay, there's a number of reasons. First of all, when you're doing an eviction or when you're doing a foreclosure, you can't just write one person's name down. You want to make sure that your attorney, or if you're going to have a property manager do this for you, make sure they write down the name of the person and then say all occupants. Because sometimes when you don't live in that property and you live out of state, sometimes they will move other people into the property that you don't know about. And from my estimation, they said that this home was actually Miss Lolita Hale's mother's old home. So I'm assuming that her mother has passed and left this home to her. I'm also assuming by that statement that she just recently inherited this home, number one, and number two, she wasn't exactly living in that home. She was just fixing it up. So either she's out of state or she lives somewhere else within the state and she was just coming to fix up that particular property. In an interview, she did mention about how they cleaned out the property and that they also painted the walls and whatever, that was done before she went away on vacation. So that says to me that it doesn't necessarily say to me that she actually lives there. She owns the property, but she doesn't actually live there. That's what I'm gathering. Okay. Now, the other thing is this. When you're doing an eviction, even though you win the eviction in court, there is something called a writ of possession that Mrs. Hale did not have. The writ of possession, you don't always get that immediately after the eviction, especially now because a lot of courts are backed up. Yes, COVID is gone. Well, no, let me not say COVID is gone because I did catch COVID this year. But the pandemic is gone. However, it did have a lasting effect. So a lot of places where you normally would be able to get rid of a person in, let's say, 2 weeks, you can count on it being 2 months or even longer. Because I have a friend in Georgia who recently did an eviction. He's in McDonough. And he said even after he won the eviction, he didn't get the writ of possession until 5 months later. And then once you get that writ of possession, then you have to schedule an appointment with the sheriff. And sometimes that can take 2 weeks or another 2 months in order for that to go through. You see what I'm saying? Only the sheriff can physically remove a person from the property. Now, when it comes to their belongings, you are not supposed to remove their belongings either. You are supposed to get an eviction team to come and have those items removed. There are some realtors that specialize, I have one, that specializes in evictions and foreclosures, and they have their own eviction team. They know what to remove and how to dispose of that particular property. Normally what they do though is, especially if the item is in relatively decent condition, they'll go and sell it to one of those resale places or to one of those thrift stores, or they might even donate it to a church. That's what they normally do. Okay. And typically it's 2 people per bedroom. They have 2 people go into, so if it's a 3-bedroom, you'll have 6 people go in to that house and remove whatever is left behind. They only take care of the furniture, and they may also change the locks, secure the windows, things like that. But the sheriff is the one that physically moves the people. She did not have the writ of possession, which is signed by the judge. So that was also a strike against her. She also physically moved the lady's belongings. That was another strike against her. And then the last strike that I read about stated that she threatened the woman and said that she was going to take out her gun and use it against her. So that is why she got arrested. You might say, well, I don't think that's fair. It's her house. I understand that. However, things could have been, it's always dangerous to try and take things in your own hand. Because what if it's the other way around, where the squatter, quote unquote, even though the judge says that she wasn't a squatter, the squatter had the gun. You understand what I'm saying? So when she saw that lady in her house, the first thing she should have done was she should have called the police. Now, granted, the police could not remove the woman from the house, but it would have still been something that she could have had documented, that this woman came in and change the locks on the house. That's what she said. Okay, that's another thing, because I wasn't there to prove that, there were locks on the door and that they were removed. Okay, so I'm just saying this is what she said. This is, alleged. All of this is alleged as far as what happened. But anyway, that's why Mrs. Hale, unfortunately, went to jail. And I need to bring this to your attention so that you guys who are interested in getting into real estate, interested in being landlords, whether or investors, this is something that you may have to deal with. That's why it's very important to, first of all, we got to all be careful who we choose as far as tenants are concerned. But yeah, sometimes you're as careful as you can be, and you think you know somebody or you think you have a handle on it, and then people do some weird stuff. But when you're filling out that paperwork, there are some people who do it on their own, but I really recommend either getting an attorney or a property manager to represent you in court, especially if you don't live in the area, especially you're out of state, out of the city, whatever. I recommend that you go that route and have it done properly, and then also double check, recheck, and make sure that they say, whoever is living in there and anybody else. So this way, when the sheriff comes, he removes every single person from the property. Because if you leave out that and all others who reside or whatever, if you leave that out, then the sheriff, from my understanding, from what I was told, is only going to remove the person whose name is on that piece of paper. So that's what you gotta realize. Now, here's another thing that a lot of people don't know. Some people don't do it either. I'm not sure why. Well, no, I am sure why. I kind of have an idea why. But after the eviction, guess what? You can still go, you may have to go back and sue and have their wages garnished for the money that they owe you. So not only will they have to pay you for any rent that's missing, but they will have to pay you for any damages that's done. And if you have it in your lease that they are responsible for court fees, then you can also sue them for that as well. So Mrs. Hale can turn around after she's released from jail and she goes back to where she originally lives, because I don't believe she really lives in that house. When she goes back to where she originally lives, she can sue that woman for breaking the lock and for any other damage that's done, as well as evict her. Okay. Now, with my case, I was told that that would be done in civil court, that you separate it. However, I believe in other counties in Georgia, you don't have to separate it. It can all be done in one full swoop. Now, here's the other thing, too, that you have to keep in mind. When they garnish their wages, it's only going to be a certain percentage of their paycheck. And that varies by state by state. There are some states where they only will take out the maximum 10%. And then there are other states where the maximum is 25%. So, and then what they do is, it's not like, so for example, let's say you charge $865 per month. Depending on their salary, 10% of their salary might be less than the $865. So you're not going to get that per month. However, you will get paid until they, until that whole fixed amount is completed, is satisfied. Okay, so let's say they were behind on rent for, let's say, 3 months, right? So we're looking at what, almost like $3,000. So their pay will be garnished until the $3,000 amount is settled. So that might take a couple of months. That might take more than 3 months, depending on how much it is that they get paid, is basically what I'm saying. So guys, that is my opinion, if you will, based on the limited facts that I have. It wasn't clear also whether or not this house was a single family or a multifamily. They did not give the address in any of the, it was definitely wasn't in the video, and it definitely was not on any of the articles that I read. However, I did go in Google Maps, and I did, go up and down that particular street to try and figure out, are these single family homes? A lot of them were huge homes. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It does appear as though they are single family homes and not multi-family homes. That's another reason why I said I don't think that Mrs. Hale lives there. And I think that Mrs. Hale inherited that house from the mother, since they said that this is the mother's old house. I think that the mother possibly rented the property to someone, and that someone had a partner. They evicted the person that was on the lease, that was on the rental lease, not knowing maybe that that person had a partner. And it's obvious that the partner's name and the people that were living with the partner, their names was not on the eviction request. So, and neither did it say, this party plus anyone else that's residing. So that's why this person felt that they could just come back in, and let's face it, like some people, I'm not really sure what planet they on. They do have a lot of gall, and they will use it. They will use it. We can't underestimate it. The only thing that we can do is try to live and act accordingly so that we don't get in trouble. Like how Miss Hale got in trouble. This is why it's important to know the law, because obviously she did not know it. As I listened to her interview, and I can tell that she does not know the law. And that's also why I believe that more of us do need to be a little bit more active in politics. We need to not just, like I say, only vote for, some of us don't even vote, only vote for president, but we need to, go to our senators, go to our local politicians and say, hey, this is not right. This needs to change. All right. So that's my opinion. All right. Please feel free to share this amongst your friends. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.